All right. Welcome back to the live reading of my memoir, Rebirth. I'm reading chapter 22 now. If you're just stumbling upon this video and you haven't been listening in from the beginning, I strongly encourage you to go back to the beginning. I've been reading chapter by chapter, and I'm now reading chapter 22. So I've been reading quite a few. So if you want to stay in the loop with the story, please go back to the beginning. If you like the story I'm sharing, please be sure to like and share. Leave comments so I know that you're following along with me and I know what you're thinking. And if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe so that you know when the next chapter drops. So this is the reading of chapter 22, entitled The One Thing I Wanted. My mom and I were chatting in my bedroom when I told her I needed to nurse Evelyn. Hoping for a bit of privacy, I picked Evelyn up from her bassinet, circled around the bed, and sat at the head, beneath the window. But she followed. I looked up to find her standing right beside me, beaming, eyes wide, nodding as if she'd just scored front row seats to her favorite concert. Grinning, she leaned in, watching. I sighed and closed my eyes, creating space between me and my audience, then latched Evelyn on. When I looked up again, my mom had moved. Now pressed against the wall at the foot of the bed, her expression had completely changed. Frozen between confusion and discomfort, she stared straight ahead, blinking as if trying to process something she couldn't articulate. Then, without a word, she turned and left the room. What was that? The word love flashed across my mind. Was that what she saw? The kind of love she'd never experienced or maybe never witnessed before. My throat tightened, a sudden sadness filling the space she'd left behind. When she had children, breastfeeding was considered unsanitary. At least that's what she was told. She said very few women did it, so she hadn't either. She was young, still in school, and working 2 jobs. She didn't want to be bound to a baby anyway, or maybe she just didn't know how to be. Once Evelyn finished feeding and drifted off to sleep, I gently placed her back in her bassinet and went downstairs to find my mom in the kitchen. She stared past me, her eyes unfocused. Breaking the silence, she said, "I have to go home today." Her body stiffened, one hand gripping the edge of the counter like an anchor. Today, I searched her eyes, trying to discern what she wasn't saying. Why? Disappointment surged before I could suppress it, rising hot and fast. "I forgot about some things I need to do," she said, avoiding my gaze. Oh, I tried to steady my voice, hoping there was still a way to salvage the visit. "If you have time, I'd love to go to IKEA," I smiled, hoping to spark her usual excitement. She loved shopping. "I just want to get a few things to organize Evelyn's room." She hesitated, then nodded. "Okay, but we can't stay long. Can we leave by 1? "Yes, that's perfect." I latched onto the plan like a lifeline, the excitement rushing in, washing away the sting of her early departure, at least for now. I needed to feed and change Evelyn, then get myself cleaned up. My shirt was stained with breast milk, and the fabric stretched out from where. I wanted to look good for my mom, who placed a high value on appearances. I changed into jeans and a red and white striped button-up shirt. It hugged my postpartum body just enough to make me feel fresh. For a moment, I caught a glimpse of myself in the mirror. A hot new mama stared back at me. It felt good. I knew my mom would approve of the effort. It was just after 1 when I came back downstairs. My mom was already loading her bags into the car. I made myself tea and sat in the living room, flipping through the IKEA catalog while I waited. By the time she joined me in the living room, it was almost 2:30. "Hey," I said, standing and trying to keep the mood light. "Could we stop at Shoppers Drug Mart on the way? I want to get something for Carrie after her baby is born. I might not see her right away, so I figured I could send it with you." Now that I had a better sense of what a new mom really needed, I wanted Carrie to have it too. I smiled, waiting for her response, but her face stiffened immediately. Her brow furrowed, and she began to shake her head. "There's not enough time," she said, her voice flat. "Oh, No problem, I said quickly, trying to smooth things over and not panic. I'll just mail it to her. I paused, letting the words settle, then smiled, willing the energy to shift. Let's go to IKEA, I said, trying to sound as bright as possible, pushing against the heaviness that had settled in the room. The chair felt strained, like slipping into a costume that no longer fit. Familiar, but tight in all the wrong places. My performance was meant to keep things from falling apart. We need to be back by 5, she said sharply. We'll definitely be back by 5:30 at the latest, I said, mentally calculating the time. That gave us more than enough time to do for the round trip. But her expression only hardened. No, I have to leave before 5. She hesitated, unmoved by my enthusiasm. Her face was blank, her eyes fixed somewhere beyond me. She began rocking slightly, shifting her weight from one foot to the other, as if struggling with something unseen. Then, with a long sigh, she said quietly, I can't go. What? I blinked, thrown off balance. But we can make it back by then. I'm sure we can. There isn't enough time, she repeated, standing tall as if digging in her heels. But there's lots of time, I said, doing everything I could to lift whatever spirit had taken hold of her. Her mood had shifted so abruptly, and I couldn't understand why. I have to leave by 5, she said. Can you guarantee we'll be back by then? I paused, eyes lowered, thinking it through. 45 minutes there, 45 minutes back, an hour at most in the store. It would be tight, I admitted, but it's possible. The absolute worst case is 5:30. That gives us an extra half hour leeway just in case. I was already halfway to the door, believing she'd compromised. No, she said. I have to leave by 5, no later. I turned back towards her, baffled. But Mom, chances are very good we'll be back by 5. I just can't guarantee it. She shook her head. Then I can't go. Something inside me slumped. But Mom, she stepped towards the door. I need to leave right now. I tried to smile as she suggested I go by myself, insisting that if she left immediately, I'd still have time for the trip. She meant it to sound helpful, but it only amplified the ache already forming in my chest. I glanced behind her at the canvas print I had bought her. The soft toned elephant meant to remind her I was thinking of her, still leaning untouched against the wall. Don't forget your elephant, I said, pointing to the frame print. She glanced at it, then turned back. It won't fit in the car. Her words were flat. Of course it wouldn't. The knot in my throat tightened as I watched her put on her boots. Her hands trembled as she tied the laces. Her body shook. Maybe you should take a walk before driving, I said gently. It's a 3-hour drive. She nodded, smiling vaguely, but walked straight to her car, started the engine, and backed out of the driveway. I stood in the doorway and waved, trying to dispel the heaviness clinging to my chest. The first time she came to my house, the only time other than for Evelyn's birth, I bought her a carved wooden fish. She'd left it in a similar rush that time too, and forgot it. Now again, she was leaving in a hurry. Again, the gift stayed behind. I stood in the entry too long, disappointment pressing into me, slow and heavy. It rose from my feet to my chest, swirling around my throat. I stayed still, afraid that if I moved, the wave might break me completely. Why did I keep giving her opportunities to reject me? Why did I fall for her words when her actions reflected the reality? It always started innocently. She wanted to help with Evelyn. She wanted to take me shopping. But instead, she spent most of the visit unloading her problems, and the only thing I asked for, a simple trip to IKEA, was too much. I exhaled slowly. I was dressed. I might as well go. I unbuttoned my shirt and put on a comfortable t-shirt. I didn't need to impress anyone now. I kissed Mauro goodbye. Are you sure you're okay alone with Evelyn for a bit? I'm perfectly fine, he said with a smile. Go. One more thing, I said, grabbing my backpack. I still don't have a phone. The battery's been dead for weeks, so I haven't been able to find it. Here, take mine, Mauro said, handing it over. If there's an emergency, call Diego and get him to email me. It seemed reasonable. What could possibly go wrong? And that is the end of chapter 22 of my memoir, Rebirth. If you like the story or know someone who might, please like and share so that it reaches the people who are meant to hear it. And please leave thoughts, comments, feedback in the comments so that I know that you're here and you're following along. It would mean so much to me. If you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe so you know when the next chapter drops. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. See you in the next one.